All right, hello everybody. Welcome to uh, our lesson here, Forensic Science and Hair. This is for our unit or the unit hair. So take a look at our objectives and standards, please. And our desired result, how can hair be used in forensic science? So hair in forensics. A most frequently piece of evidence found at a violent crime scene is hair. And this can provide a link between a criminal and the crime scene. According to the Locard exchange principle, excuse me, there is always a cross transfer of evidence between suspect and victim or locale, meaning the location. Hair is class evidence that can help place someone at the scene of the crime. So this picture here is Edmond Locard, who was a French criminologist who was a pioneer in forensic science and helped to probably come up with the Locard exchange principle that we just discussed. Using hair as evidence. When looking at hair as evidence from a crime, a person can determine the source of the hair, such as if it is human or animal hair, excuse me. Sometimes the race of a person, whether they be Caucasian or African American, the origin of the hair on the location of the body, whether it be the head or maybe somewhere else on the body. If the hair was removed forcibly, such as did it fall out naturally or was the hair pulled or torn, whether the hair was treated chemically, whether it was dyed or something like that, maybe they dyed their hair, or whether drugs had been ingested as well. Studying hair. The form and structure of hair is known as morphology. On average, a human has about 5 million hairs, 120,000 strands blonde hair, 80,000 strands red hair, 100,000 strands brown-black hair. Shedding and renewal of hairs occurs at a rate of about 100 hairs in a 24-hour period. This is why hair is commonly found in our personal environments. So, form of hair. The growth of hair comes from a tube-like organ in the sublayer of the skin, the dermis. Known as a hair follicle, it is linked to the body's blood supply. So whatever is taken into the body, such as drugs or poisons, is also distributed to the part of the hair growing at that time. So we can see here we have the hair, right, the piece of hair coming from the skin, and then here's the skin surface, and then underneath that you can see it's like a tube-like structure, right? So this follicle part here is connected to what I'm circling here on the screen for you, the follicle part. That's the part that's linked to the blood supply, and that can contain different elements that could maybe be used in forensics, whether the person used drugs or if they were poisoned or something like that. So parts and structure. Hair shaft is composed of 3 parts. The cuticle, okay, where you see the words hair cuticle here in the picture. I'll put a letter A here so you can kind of see that a little bit better there. Okay. So this is the hair cuticle, the clear outside covering of the hair shaft. Tough overlapping scales, and a much finer pattern of scales are for humans than animals. So you can kind of see, the overlapping layers there. The cortex, this is the middle part here. So this is B. Okay, so the cortex, right here for you, that's the middle part of it. And this is made up of keratin, I believe I'm saying that right, molecules aligned parallel to the length of the shaft. And this has the pigment that gives the hair its color and its shape. So this contains whether the hair color that you have, whether it be blonde, black hair, brown hair, red hair. So that's where we get the color for our hair is from the cortex. And the next part here is letter C, the medulla. So here's letter C. Okay, and that's that little middle part here. Okay, and these are the row of cells running along the center of the cortex. Now they can appear, or this may appear darker translucent, excuse me, depending if there's air, liquid, or pigment within it. In general, human hairs typically have no medulla, or they can be fragmented or kind of broken apart. However, Asians or Native Americans have continuous medullas. So you can see the different parts and structure of the hair there. Okay. So let's talk a little more in depth about each of these parts of the hair. The cuticle, outermost layer of hair, which is covered with scales. Direction-wise, the scales point towards the tip of the hair. Now, these can differ among different species of animals. There's different types of cuticle. Coronal, you typically see in mice or rats. Spineous or spineous, not quite sure how to pronounce that word. Cats, dogs. And then imbricate is humans. So again, forensic scientists or scientists can look at the cuticle and look at the different styles and determine if it was a cat or a dog, a human, mice, rats, whatever the case may be. B, the cortex, gives the hair its shape. So if we look at these three pictures here, if I were to take a piece of your hair or somebody else's hair and cut it in half and look at it, we can kind of see what we could see, and I could determine, or a scientist or a forensic person could determine what type of hair, or how the hair might have been on that person, okay? So for round, we can kind of see here, this is round. So if I were to cut a piece of hair and look at it, it would look round, right? And that would maybe tell me that the person's hair was straight. An oval shape over here would maybe tell me the person's hair was curly, kind of seeing how the hair curls there, right? And then a crescent moon, what they call a crescent moon, they call it here wavy, in a different description here of this picture. We could call that kinky, or like what they call here wavy, okay? So it kind of looks like a half moon or a crescent moon there. So again, if a person was looking at that from a crime scene, or a crime scene or somewhere else, excuse me, we could, maybe determine what type of hair the person had, whether they had straight hair, wavy hair, curly hair, and other things like that. Two major characteristics. The melanin or melanin, again, I'm trying my best to pronounce these words, the pigment granules that give hair its color, so melanin or melanin, the pigment granules that give hair its color, and the cortical fusee, or again, I'm trying my best with that, the cortical fusee, air spaces that are usually found near the root, but may be found throughout the hair shaft. The medulla, hair core that is not always visible. Now, it can come, or the medulla can come in different patterns, that can come in different types and patterns. Intermittent or interrupted, fragmented, continuous, stacked, or absent, not present at all. Or not present. Pardon me. So the stages of hair growth. There are 3 stages of hair growth, and you can kind of follow along down there at the bottom with the picture as I describe these. The anagen phase, the period of growth in the hair cycle. This includes about 80 to 90% of hair follicles, 3 to 5 years on average. Excuse me. The caticle phase, the intermediate period of hair growth. This lasts about 3 weeks. And the telogen phase, the final phase of hair growth, results in the loss of hair and lasts 2 to 6 months. Follicles are ready to push follicles are ready to push out mature hairs. When you brush your hair, the hairs you see on your comb or brush are telogen hairs. These are the hairs that have been kind of pushed out or ready to fall out. Roots of hair. Now, forensic scientists or others can look at the roots of hair to help with crime scene analysis as well. The roots of human hair look different than human hair. Human hair root typically looks rounded, okay, or looks round. Excuse me. Animal hair root, a spear, generally. Roots of hair can also tell us if the hair was forcibly removed or fell out naturally. Hair and DNA. Nuclear DNA can be contained in hair, but only in the root. Sometimes, if the hair has been forcibly removed, the follicular tissue containing DNA may be attached. Abundant mitochondrial DNA inherited from the mother can be found in the hair shaft, This can be used to help compare relatives if no DNA from the body is available. However, this is a more difficult and costly process than using nuclear DNA. Sorry about that. The use of hair as a chemical indicator. Substances that are delivered into the body can also be delivered to the hair root. Drugs and poisons can be detected. In 48 hours, drugs are typically gone from blood. Urine will contain drugs for about a period of 7 to 21 days. However, hair grows at about 1 centimeter a month, so traces of drugs can be tracked longer. Chronic heavy metal poisoning, such as arsenic, lead, or mercury, can also be discovered in hair and can help with diagnosing dietary deficiencies and diseases. Hair can also help identify a person's environment, such as smoke or even marijuana smoke can be detected in a person's hair as well. Toxicology, and hair. In general, there are some advantages. Collection and storage of hair is easy. Externally available, meaning we don't have to be, drawing blood from someone or finding somebody's bodily fluids. We can easily access hair. Used to provide information on the individual's history of drug use or potential poisoning. However, collections must be taken from different locations on the body to gain an accurate timeline. Examining and collecting hair. There must be an adequate number of control samples from the victim, the suspects, and others who may have been at the scene. Good control samples: 50 full-length hairs from all areas of scalp, 24 full-length pubic hairs. Reasons hair is a good forensic tool: they fall out easily, hair clings to things, can absorb chemicals, and they are resistant to biological degradation. Sorry, I'm trying to pronounce that word. So they are resistant to biological degradation. Okay, so closure. How can hair be used in forensic science? Think about the different parts of hair and how they can play a role in forensic science. Also think about what hair can tell us about the victim or victims, what they can tell us about the suspect or the suspects, and anything else like that, and that'll help you answer your questions. Please let me know of any questions or concerns, and I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and hope to talk to you all again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.